I think most people know what they need to do. Maybe they feel like they don't know, but usually if someone has a problem and we sit down and we talk to them, their intuition and their access to knowledge through the internet or through people who they know who have been through it, or just through logic and common sense, they may not be 100% correct, but most people can get on the right path. So most people understand that they should exercise regularly and they should eat a balanced diet. And most people understand that to recover from pain and injury, they need to take certain steps over a period of time. So people don't lack faith in the plan. They lack faith in themselves. They don't feel like they're the kind of person who can carry out a good plan long enough to get the results that they want. We're going to talk about efficacy. And a good definition of efficacy is, does it work? And I'm going to give you an assignment. You can write this down or pause the podcast as we go through it, or you can message me and I can send you an actual PDF copy of this. Let's talk about two definitions of efficacy. You've got general efficacy and self-efficacy. So general efficacy is the perception that a particular change is possible. Self-efficacy is the belief that you can make that change with or without help. So here's an example. The heavy piece of furniture is movable. That's general efficacy. Would I be able to move it by myself or with help? That would be a question of self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is often a significant predictor of success. So do I have the ability, the time, and the opportunity to do this? Whatever this is. So for some people, this might be a nutrition or a weight loss goal. For other people, it might be a rehab goal. For some people, it's an athletic goal. For other people, it's a relationship goal or maybe a financial goal. In general, most people believe that great things are possible. I think we often just see ourselves as the biggest hurdle. So if this speaks to you and you feel like you have a problem with this, what I would invite you to do is to write down these questions and answer them. So question number 1, how might I go about making this change? Whatever the change is, just start brain dumping. How could you go about it? It doesn't have to be right. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start listing opportunities that you have. Question number 2, what would be a good next step? Or if you haven't started yet, what would be a good first step? This is probably one thing. You might have a short list of some options. I think a lot of times what will happen is you'll look at this big change that needs to happen over a long period of time, and it looks like Mount Everest, and you realize there's about 1 billion steps you're going to have to take, and it's overwhelming to think about all the steps. So what's the best next step or the best first step? Question number 3, based on your own experience, how could you make this change successfully? You've done hard stuff, true or not? It's true. Just in the context that we're talking about, there's something that you're struggling with that you haven't been successful with. So based on your experience, how could you make this change successfully? How could you apply skills that you have in other contexts to this problem? Next question, what obstacles do you foresee and how could you deal with them? I'll give you a really good example of an obstacle. I have a busy work schedule and my meetings consistently run over and I'm always working late. There are a lot of obstacles out there. List them and start thinking about what would be an excellent way to get around that obstacle. Next question, what gives you some confidence that you can do this? We got to start thinking about the positive things. You've been successful. You've done hard things. What are some positive things about you that give you confidence that you might be able to do this? Now, we are going to give this a numerical score. So, how confident are you that you could do this if you decided to? On a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is not at all confident and 10 is extremely confident, where would you say that you are? You have to pick a number, 0 to 10. 0 is not confident at all, and 10 is extremely confident. Now, let's say you're right down the middle. For this podcast, we're going to say that you answered a 5. The next question, why are you at a 5 and not at a 0? Now notice, I'm not asking you, why are you not at a 10? Because then we're talking about deficiencies. I want to know what got you to a 5. Because from 0 to 5, to get you that high, there's a bunch of positive stuff in there. Let's lean into the positive things. So why are you a 5 and not a 0? You got to write all that down. Next question, what would it take for you to go from a 5 to a higher number, right? We're still thinking about positives. These might be positive things that you have, but they're not your strengths, but you kind of have them. Or maybe these are things that you think you could do, or shortcomings that you think that if you put a little bit of effort into that they could become maybe not strengths, but they wouldn't be weaknesses anymore. Next question, how might a coach or a team or a program or a friend help you go from, let's say, a 5 to a higher number? How can we bring someone in? It might be a spouse. It could be someone who's done it before or done something similar or been through something really hard, or someone maybe you just really care about their opinion. Now, the next part of this is, there's a list of words here. It's a long list. I am not going to read them all. This is where you might want to email me so I can send you this list. But I'm looking at 3 columns of words in alphabetical order. And it says some characteristics of successful changers. Falling off the plan needs to be part of the plan. Here is a list of strengths that people sometimes have. Look them over and circle a few that describe you. Try to identify at least 5 words. I'll give you some examples. So there's accepting, bold, capable, confident, courageous, creative, positive, playful, quick, relaxed, resourceful, stable, steady, truthful, willing, wise, worthy. It's a very long list. So you're going to go through and you're going to circle at least 5. Then, in what ways can the strengths that you've identified help you reach your goals? I think a lot of times when people are struggling with something, it's just all negative. There's so much negativity. I can't do this. You're only focusing on the things that you don't have and the deficiencies that you have and why you can't do this. It's so pessimistic. This is all about optimism. And this is something that you could do multiple times throughout your journey. And anytime when things are hard, you could come back to this. You could come back to this and you could say, okay, well, what was a good next step? How do I take that step? Or maybe you took the step, but then you answer, well, what's the next step? Right? That gives you another thing to do. You look at your confidence. Well, I was at a 5 and maybe I'm at a 6. So you can see some positives there. You can go back to these words that you circled and maybe you can circle a couple new ones, or you can go back over the old ones that you circled and you can redefine why you picked these, why these are your strengths. It's so important to latch on to the strengths that we have, because if it's a hard goal, you might not have the experience. You've never done it before. You can't see on the other side of it yet. It is Mount Everest. You can't see the top from where you're standing right now. So just accept the fact that if it's a goal that's worth putting effort into, it's probably challenging. And going through exercises like this, I think, can be really valuable. I hope this helps. As I said, shoot me an email if you want a copy of this. I'll send you a PDF. All right. Thanks for listening.